The driver, Flesh, who has been working with me for 5.5 years, gross, $48,550. Rate per mile is $3.30. The driver's salary is over $15,000 since he also received bonuses for a clean inspection, for fuel savings, a safety bonus, as well as a New Year's bonus for the gross. Of course, this is the best result, but the average gross for December of $30,000 per driver is a very, very good figure for the last 4 years.
Well, that is really awesome, Mr. Geller, that you were able to have such very, very impressive numbers during the month of December. And I just wonder how you were able to achieve such a feat.
It's no secret that we drive more than American drivers, sometimes faster, and we cover more miles. My record was, well, around 900 something miles in 14 hours. You can actually drive even more. You might say, yes, oh, that's all, you're not following the LD, you can't do that, logbook and so on. But I tell you this, there are different times in America, so many times the market is booming and you can make money.
Yeah, that's probably how. What's going on, good morning, people? It's Tage here, back with another banger today. So as you guys can see, I'm in my day cab, semi truck. I'm local trucking now. To be honest with you, I wanted to record this video and get it out to you guys as soon as possible. And I just know that I definitely cannot work all day and then go home and record. So I figured, why not just record while I am off duty? I'm off duty, just in case they're watching this. I'm off duty, but my motivation is still pretty high. The guy that you just saw at the beginning of the video was Mr. Gella. For the longest, I've been mispronouncing his name. I've been saying Mr. Gala, but to be honest with you guys, I was introduced to this Chicagoland CEO by a fellow trucking YouTuber by the name of Miranda. And just like Mr. Gala, Miranda is also Ukrainian. So when I first heard her say his name, I thought she was saying Mr. Gala. Now, I will play the clip for you guys, and you guys can just see for yourselves.
This YouTuber that I keep referencing, his name is Mr. Gella.
Now, I haven't watched this clip myself. I have to go back and watch it, but did it sound like Gala or Gella to you? Let me know in the comments down below. I could be completely wrong. I'll put a note right here for you guys, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to call him Mr. Gella throughout. Now, yes, not earlier this year, actually the middle of last year, in about May or June of 2025, Mr. Gella made a video criticizing the Trump administration for their harsh immigration policy. Specifically, President Trump implemented an English language proficiency mandate for the trucking industry that was going to go into effect in June of 2025. Well, Mr. Gella, a Chicagoland CEO of trucking companies Big Man Inc. and Direct Motor Lines, that he employs Russian-speaking truck drivers to drive his trucks. So obviously these policies would negatively impact his company and other Chicagoland companies that decide to employ Russian-speaking truck drivers. And in response, he decides to make this video as a warning.
For some reason, everyone is staying silent about this situation, as if it doesn't exist, trying to keep a calm expression and ignoring the massive and revolutionary changes happening in the trucking business and what all of this could lead us to. Not just what it could lead to, but what it has already led us to. And the shortage of drivers in these companies doesn't significantly affect the trucking business as a whole, but it does have a major impact on the employees of these specific companies. But most of all, of course, it affects the owners of the trucking companies. I'm telling you this as one of those very owners. The U4U program, which started after the war began, after fascist Russia invaded Ukraine, allowed Ukrainians to come to America en masse, immediately receive a work permit and social security number at the airport, and then go straight to get a CDL. Of course, such an influx of drivers allowed companies to purchase trucks and expand. But starting from August 2024, which is about 10 months ago, Ukrainians stopped being admitted under the U4U program, and eventually the program was completely shut down. So for 10 months, Ukrainians have not been entering the American labor market. Starting in December, the Mexican border was restricted, and by February it was completely closed.
Yes, guys, you saw that, you heard that. Now, you can't find his original video on his channel anymore. I'm pretty sure he took it down, but before he did, I actually took the time to translate the video using AI. Shout out to HeyGen AI, looking for a sponsor because your subscription is pretty expensive, just saying. But yes, I love HeyGen AI. They're really, really great. But that's pretty much how I've been able to react to his videos and actually make it pretty interesting for you guys, because even he actually commented commented on my video in the past and said that he was impressed with the AI, and that's exactly how he would sound if he could speak English. But anyways, before I continue, I forgot to make this disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do not go on Mr. Gella's YouTube channel and leave any mean-spirited, negative, discouraging, or disparaging comments. Again, educational and entertainment purposes only. I don't want him to delete his videos because of me. I'm not really trying to come across as picking on him, bullying him, but I do want to critique him and, be critical of him and hold him accountable because this is YouTube. But yes, like I said earlier, he made a video about how the Trump administration was coming after immigrant truck drivers. It's going to be a whole thing. All Russian-speaking trucking companies are going to shut down. It's intimate that people act upon this. Nobody's really talking about it but him. However, at the end of the year, December of 2025, he came out and said that his company did great. His company was fine. In fact, more than fine. It was doing amazing.
Today is December 31st, and I want to share some good news with you, my subscribers, who over these many years have become part of my family. Of course, this year has brought both positive and negative moments, but one event holds a special place in my heart. In 2025, with the support of my partner, my wife, who works as a senior dispatcher, and I managed to launch my company, Big Man, at full capacity. The best drivers in America, the best dispatchers in America, and all the brokers are giving us loads. Your potential earnings and wages can reach up to a full $1 for every single mile you drive.
And as I said at the beginning of the video, I wonder just how these Chicagoland trucking companies are able to achieve such amazing profits. Now, in addition, I did see a video last week on the Lockout Men / Trucking Commentary Podcast YouTube channel about a driver that was essentially bragging about the Russians, quote unquote Russians, manipulating his logbooks, giving him a fresh 70-hour clock. So let's take a look at that.
Watch my clock jump. Y'all see I've been on sleep for 9 hours and 20 minutes. 4 o'clock. That's how I'm able to run that shit up. Yo, these Russians don't fuck around, gang. Fuck y'all talking about. Work for the Russians. Run that shit up. No bullshit. You ain't gonna never start running, you hear me?
I don't think this is a very smart thing to do, to record and post on the internet for the whole world to see, because you just never know if something catastrophic happens to you. And if we were to believe that, the trucking industry is as heavily regulated as they say that it is, you, the truck driver, are the low-hanging fruit. A lot of these Chicagoland carriers, especially Super Eagle, I know for sure Super Eagle, they have dispatch that's based overseas. So when, stuff hits the fan, they're going to come after you, the truck driver. Meanwhile, how can a lawyer or law enforcement hold overseas dispatchers and management accountable? Last year I covered a story about this chameleon carrier called 4US Freight, 4US Transportation. It had several names, and there was a big accident out of Alabama involving a Russian-speaking truck driver that was Ukrainian, and the company itself was very, very hard to reach because, again, the dispatch is based overseas, so it's very hard to hold these people accountable. Now, obviously, if you get into a major catastrophic accident, you're facing a very, very long time in prison. And I just don't think 68 cents a mile, 70 cents a mile, or even $1 a mile, what Mr. Gella is advertising, is even worth it. And honestly, that's even if they pay you on time, because here's the thing with these Chicagoland carriers. There are always delays with their pay settlements. It's just a crazy thing. And a lot of times their pay settlements aren't even accurate.
And we have absolutely guaranteed that there has not been a single delayed payment over the course of the entire calendar year. I understand that for many of you this may not seem like such a big achievement, but when you start a business from scratch and nurture it like a small child, every positive event and the results you see after a certain period of time make me happy.
And I just find it interesting in the video that he's bragging about how all his drivers were actually paid on time. There weren't any delays with settlements. Meanwhile, that should actually just be the norm. That should just be the industry standard. That should just be the expectation. Why are we delaying truck drivers' pay? Again, last year we covered a story about how a Chicagoland CEO didn't pay their drivers on time, and a truck driver turned vigilante decided to take him out.
Now, newly filed court documents detail an alleged back pay murder plot.
We have it listed as ATV truckload. Got a call from somebody saying smoke seen coming from the building.
When the smoke settled inside ATG truckload on March 5th, investigators discovered a torched binder and the body of Dane Kateski lying face down in a pool of blood. Before the medical examiner determined the 46-year-old CEO's throat had been slashed, investigators had already zeroed in on an employee as a prime suspect.
So despite all the shenanigans that these carriers love to pull despite this cautionary tale, the schemes and the scams continue today. Now in this clip, we have Mr. Big Nick here. Shout out to him if you're watching this video. He actually does a great job of auto-dubbing his videos. But anyways, he's previously been employed by Mr. Gella, and he's made content criticizing him in the past. In fact, he has over a dozen videos on his channel criticizing him. And in this video, he actually predicted that Gella would actually go bankrupt. So let's take a look at that.
Everyone, recently, Mr. Gella raised drivers' wages at Shores, another show-off. Why? Because the market hasn't improved, freight prices haven't increased, and there are no more freights on either flatbeds or referrals. What does this mean? It simply means that people are fleeing the company in droves, and somehow, to keep them, we need to raise wages because, well, it's simply impossible. Artur is making videos, Gella is making videos, it's all useless, it doesn't work, and even those people who exist, they just turn around and leave. A lot of people write to me, saying, "We're watching you," they say, "from Galika, and you're telling the whole truth, and we're getting ready to leave." I know about this situation. Of course, everything is great at Gella, yes. You need to somehow gather people into this, somehow attract them, somehow entice them. Then they'll put you on a contract for 3 to 6 months, and you won't be able to escape. Think about it.
Now, he made this video back in August of 2024, and he was talking about how Gella raised the wages of the drivers to whatever dollar amount it was, I forget. But yeah, he was raising wages about 2 years ago, and now it's crazy how he's coming out saying that, you know, freight's paying a dollar amount, he's paying his drivers a dollar amount. Meanwhile, back then when the freight was paying good, he was actually raising the drivers' wages. It was to combat driver turnover. Now in the video, he predicted that Gella's business would go bankrupt. Obviously, it hasn't been going bankrupt. It's been booming. Business has been booming. In fact, even recently, he made a video about the current state of the freight market given the winter storm.
I'm checking what rates our trucks are covered at today. There are loads at $6 per mile and even $7 per mile. Of course, these are short hauls, relatively speaking. 300 miles for $2,000. But for a driver who works on commission, I think it's nice to get a $600 paycheck for driving just 300 to 400 miles. There are still 4,500 loads on the East Coast in the area. Philadelphia and New Jersey. Those dispatchers who haven't covered their trucks yet as it gets closer to evening, it's possible they'll even get covered at $10 per mile. I don't know. A day, 2, 3. That's how long it will take to clear out all these loads after the snowstorm. But it's nice to see such rates in these turbulent times in the trucking business. And it's great that there's an opportunity for drivers and even more so for owner-operators to earn more.
So I'm curious as to what load board he's looking at that has freight that pays $6-7 a mile, even for short distances. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So he said $600. So yeah, that's a dollar a mile essentially, or $2 a mile, whatever it is. But yes, what load board is he looking at? It can't be DAT load board, can it? Let me know if you're an owner operator in the comments down below. Was the freight really paying that well during the winter storm? Not that you would have made any money, because a lot of the roads were shut down, especially in Pennsylvania where I live. So anyways, that's pretty much all we have in terms of updates from Mr. Gella so far. He has pretty much been silent when it comes to this new legislation that's being proposed by the state of Illinois that's essentially going to bar all non-citizens from getting a CDL and renewing their CDL. Now, currently, if you are a non-domiciled CDL holder, you are barred from renewing your CDL, and you're also barred from getting a CDL. Now, Illinois is taking it a step further, and they're basically trying to say, look, we only want U.S. citizens to drive semi-trucks.
The state of Illinois is trying to pass a bill that will prohibit even green card holders from obtaining a CDL. So let's chat about it. Ready? Let's go. Then we have the state of Illinois, which really surprised me because the Illinois bill would actually stop non-US citizens from applying or renewing a CDL or a commercial learner's permit. Only US citizens would be allowed to have a CDL. This bill is actually looking to prohibit lawfully permanent residents, also known as green card holders, or foreign domiciled persons from applying for a commercial learner's permit or a CDL. And of course, this bill would also require English language proficiency. So we have Illinois doing that.
So yes, guys, according to Mr. Gella, last summer he was saying that this was disruptive, just the non-domiciled truckers not being able to renew their CDLs alone. But this is a step further. This is like damaging. This should really be the downfall of his business unless he's actually decided to hire some American truck drivers, desperate American truck drivers, to drive for him. Then maybe that's a little different. But I am curious if he did hire American truck drivers, because the U4U program, which was a program that displaced Ukrainian truck drivers could actually drive trucks in America because of the war in Ukraine, that program has been discontinued. So I'm curious as to how he's been, keeping drivers in the trucks. Interesting. Now, he probably has hired American truck drivers because, in the past, he's been pretty hesitant about hiring these drivers because, of the taxes and the benefits and other entitlements.
The only thing we can do is start attracting Americans, but Americans need W-2. They need a pension. They need certain conditions that, in most cases, our work system can't provide for them. Can we switch to W-2 or can we create such conditions for them? I don't know. I haven't looked into it. That's a topic for another video, not this one.
And to be honest, Mr. Gella, I understand your hesitancy when it comes to, paying Americans, because you can't really, find a way to finesse the tax system as easily. You actually have to pay your fair share. And, I get it. It just sucks. It really, really sucks. But, we do have to, live here. It's expensive to live in America. Average rent is like $1,500, maybe $2,000 at this point. Who knows? And yes, we do want to, be paid a living, decent wage, just saying. So yes, he probably has hired some American truck drivers to haul his freight. And if he has, shout out to him because he's really adapting pretty well. But if not, and this legislation actually does pass in the state of Illinois, then it's just bad news for your company, along with a lot of other Chicagoland carriers. But hey, those are my thoughts and feelings about this Chicagoland CEO and how he's boasting, and the gravy train may be ending very soon because of this legislation. Let me know in the comments down below. You guys are the greatest. You guys are the best audience on the internet. And if you enjoy content like this, hit the like button, comment, rate, share, and subscribe. I am Taja Ellison, and I'll see you next time.